And we've
So,
got a number of people in.
I say again, John?
We have a number of people in the audience.
Yep, which is really good. So good morning, everyone. Welcome officially to the start of our last webinar of the year. This has been a weekly webinar that John Corey, my co-host, and I have run really since March time. I was told by the staff we've now done 40 of these weekly webinars. So this is the last one. You can see our wee doggy friend, the top left-hand side, getting ready for Christmas, complete with Christmas jumper. Would have an idea of making all the special guests today wear Christmas jumpers, but I think for those on site, probably a Christmas jumper wouldn't just look quite the part for health and safety, possibly. So thank you very much for joining us. I know we've got people from actually different parts of the world. Actually, I can see people obviously from UK and Ireland, see Spain, but our farthest one is Mr. John Corey, my co-host, who's back over in his homeland of the USA. Good morning, John. How are you?
Good morning. A very early morning.
Yeah. What's the time currently in Pennsylvania?
5 a.m.
5 a.m. That's good dedication. So appreciate you to taking the early morning to come and be part of our last one. So before we get into talking to our guest today, and we are focusing today on the projects that have been funded on our platform, and I'm delighted the number of guests have joined us, but we'll introduce them just in a minute. By way of kicking off, first of all, some housekeeping. So we do not use the chat box during these webinars, but we encourage attendees to use the Q&A facility. So please put your questions in there. And what I want today is for every attendee to at least make one comment. It might be a question to a guest today. It might be a comment about who was your favorite guest over the last year, something that you learned over the last year, or even something that you'd like to see as part of a webinar. And we've got some interesting plans for the new year. We've been having some discussions in-house about how we can change and revamp and add even more value for these webinars going forward. So you can look out for that sort of the second week of January. But John, it's hard to believe we've had 40 of these webinars and many long months of every Thursday getting on here and trying to add value.
Well, I'm sort of used to being surprised that, wow, it's already December, that type of thing. But that we did 40 of these really caught me off guard when I saw it on the slide. It's like, really? How did that happen?
Yeah, it's amazing how time goes. Now, one thing that we did do, John, quite a lot, I think it is important maybe to start off this sort of last webinar of the year. We quite frequently had slides up just regarding the NHS, essential services, and we always were careful to sort of remember every few weeks that while we're talking about making money, surviving in business and everything that goes with that, and that's important. There have been those, not just in the UK, I suppose, around the world, have had their lives turned upside down with COVID. Particularly NHS staff have had a very, very challenging year. And while we talk about making money, we don't forget those that have definitely had a difficult year.
I mean, there's been challenges in lots of families and key workers in NHS, but also in other key sectors. And it's been quite a turbulent year for everybody. Yeah,
indeed. Okay, so one quick shout out about our YouTube channel. You can see Asher on the screen there, our social media and marketing manager, and we are really beginning to improve and revamp our YouTube channel. So you can go on there and see, well, all of those 40 webinars. And I believe, Asher, we're actually live on Facebook today with this webinar. Is that correct?
We are indeed.
Excellent. Brilliant. Thanks, Asher. So welcome to all those who have joined us via Facebook Live. Now, John, before we dive into the guests, we really have had some fantastic guest speakers on over the year talking about all different types of parts of the property market. Was there any that stood out for you that you thought brought particular value or a different sort of take on the market?
Actually, I'm going to make a slightly sensitive comment. I'm impressed that we have as many women being featured here. That I mean, I've always thought that there's lots of very professional, competent women in the sector, and people keep telling me, oh, it's a male-dominated one. But looking at our guests, I just figured this out this morning, right now, literally, that we've had a good mix of women and men on the sessions over the weeks. So I think it's great that we see a range of people, and I want to see us continue that into 2021.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so there was a great variety. Won't take time to sort of name every single one there, but really good skill sets, different experiences, and you really brought a lot to the webinars in terms of just a take. It's all about education. It's all about learning. It's all about hearing different people's opinions. So here's where we are in 2020. Despite all the challenges of COVID, and certainly it's been a very challenging year within property crowdfunding for sure. There are a number of companies who started off the year who by the end of the year are no longer in business for a variety of reasons. But we have actually successfully funded 5 deals so far. And of that, that's about 705,238 of completed funded deals. We've had over 1 million of pledged funds, but in terms of the ones that have actually completed and drawn down funds, it's over 700,000. Which, John, I'm actually very pleased with when you look back over the year that we've had and all the challenges and difficulties.
Yeah, and I have a question for the audience. Of the 5, how many deals did each person fund? So if you could type in the Q&A 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just to get a sense of how many people listening now actually participated in some of these deals. It'd be fun to see.
Yeah, fantastic. And that was 128 different investments. Now, as you say, John, there may be investors who invested on different there definitely was on different projects. But that's an average investment of 7,000 on the platform, which I think is very, very healthy indeed. So let's get straight into our projects, and we've just done it by way of chronology. So the first one is Alderman's Green. It was funded back in January. Now, Darren, unfortunately, has been caught in meetings, hasn't been able to join us, but he has sent me a text literally about half an hour ago, apologising that we couldn't make it. But this was a planning uplift. Darren and his company, Fitzwilliam Capital Partners, specialise in finding land, optioning it, put it through planning, and usually either selling it through planning or selling it after the planning. They don't usually build them out themselves. And I know, John, you were involved in this with me as we put this together and helped structure the deal. I'll just give you his quick update and then let you comment, John. So, sorry I can't make this morning. Obviously, things for Christmas. Darren's actually a lawyer as well as being a property developer. So all reports are now finalised for this project and with the local authority. The last one submitted 2 weeks ago, which was the biodiversity report. Planning looking good for end of January, and we have not actually lost any time given that some of the reports could only be done seasonally. So we're looking forward to a positive decision in early 2021. So his 12 months is up effectively early January. It was a projected 12-month project. That may well slip by a month or two, but Darren's still confident that they're not that far behind time, which is good. So any quick comments on this one, John, before we move on?
One of the people commented when they were saying how many they invested in. I think technically this one did fund last year in December, so it's literally a year old this month. And it was actually technically there for a 2019 project. But I thought this was rather interesting. It was probably a very large or complex planning application to crowdfund. And, there's 300 something units projected for this. But as I've been fond of saying to some people, I believe there's 17 investors in this. My company's actually one. And there were, as far as I know, no one that Darren knew before the raise that invested in this. So in effect, it shows you the power of the crowd that he was able to reach out to an audience that he didn't know before he did his first raise.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, the project was sort of closed in December, but the funds actually drew down to Darren in January. So that's the spinning of the hairs. But yes, it funded in December. So that is that one. And again, you'll get the weekly or the monthly updates from Darren. He's going to actually do a video for his next monthly update, which will be good. So
Good to see him on camera.
yeah, absolutely. So next one, delighted that Ed has been able to join us. For those who are on, if you do want to change your view settings to just see the speaker, that may help if you've got sort of a plethora of different people looking at you on the screen as well as your slides. You do have that option, and you'll be able to hear from Ed directly. So good morning, Ed. How are you?
Good morning, everyone. It's bright and sunny in Bristol today, so happy days.
Yeah, the sun's shining in there. So you're obviously the main the project guy on Beaumont Homes. Your dad Miles has the business, and it's a family business. So this project, we raised 100,000 for you. And do you want to just quickly give a quick update on where the project's at?
Yeah, sure. So project is going surprisingly well, all things considered. We're coming out of the grounds. We are, at this very moment, we are completing the block and beam, which is the structural floor of our apartment building. We're out of the ground now. We're starting. We've actually completed our drainage and our services, our service runs, and we've put hard standing rounds, and the bog is starting to firm up. So I'm very happy about that. I spent the last 2 months covered in mud walking around, so it's making some pleasant progress for me.
Excellent, excellent. Do you want to maybe jump out of the van and see if you can safely cross the road, and then you can just maybe pan your camera around so people can kind of go speaker view, and that'll bring you up full screen. I think that would be beneficial if you can do that for us, please.
Yeah, I can do that. Do you want to? Should I do that now or at the end of my discussion?
So before you do that, then just one quick question on any lessons learned. What was any key things you've kind of learned, or any tips you can give? Because a lot of people on your project, some invest a small amount of money and use it as a learning experience. They wanted just to sort of shadow you on this project. So any key learning points for them?
Yeah, a general one about, I suppose, COVID. I think I may have mentioned this a few times, to be honest, but I would strongly recommend that you plan further ahead than you would normally. There's a lot of shortages. There's a lot of disruption in supply and labour. Our plumbing contractor contracted COVID last week, and what a nightmare that is causing. But I mean, we're overcoming it. But there's all sorts of problems popping up that you wouldn't normally have to deal with. Normally people are ill and they stay at home for a couple of days and everyone else carries on. But because of COVID and the isolation requirements, it can have quite a knock-on effect. So definitely try and plan ahead and try and leave as little to chance as possible.
Is this the only project you're currently doing, or have you got your staff out over 2 or 3 different projects?
It's over 3 projects. So yeah, we've got 3 projects. They've all been. The one in Bitten hasn't been affected by COVID so much because we've started it in COVID, so we're well aware of the pitfalls, I suppose. I think this COVID year has been a learning experience for everyone.
Yeah.
But we're getting used to it. We're getting used to the new normal, as we say.
Yeah. Okay. So last one then, and then you can go on a quick walkabout for us. So this obviously was 30% per annum projected return. Are you on target for the 12-month that what you're aiming for?
Yes, that is correct. Yeah, this project's going well. I mean, it's a small project, so we're able to stay on top of it quite comfortably. and things are looking good so far.
Okay.
And looking forward to 2021.
Brilliant. Okay. And just for the last 30 seconds, if it is possible, maybe if you go head across the road and just give a quick scan of the site. I think they're very beneficial before we move on to the next guest.
Yeah, sure. Just let me detach. I'm set up on a pod.
With the 9 to 10 days, you can select sort of speaker full screen view. So you can bring Ed up full screen and you'll be able to see him, what he shows. Just thought it'd be beneficial to actually see the site live, seeing that's where he is. There's a bit of rush hour traffic there, Ed, in the middle of Bristol, or the outskirts of Bristol. There we are. Okay, fantastic. Brilliant. Thanks very much. We need to move on to the next one. All right. So thank you very much. You can put yourself on mute there. And so thanks for joining us. Appreciate that.
Hello.
Yes. Okay. That's fine. Yeah. Thank you.
Perfect.
All right. Thanks very much. Talk to you later. Bye bye. Thanks, Ed. Bye bye. Okay, next one is Plough Hill View, joined by Hitesh. I think he's on there now. He can unmute himself and come on camera if you can, please.
Hi, David. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
Absolutely fine. Thank you.
I thought you were going to have a wee visitor with you this morning. Is he there?
Oh, yes. I joined the call a little late because of that, because he decided to go all cranky on me.
Very good. Very good. No, that's okay.
He's off the bed now.
That tends to happen with young babies sometimes. We've all been there.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, this was another 100k raise we did. 5 houses been built in the Needing. So we want to give a quick update as to the project as it is now.
Absolutely, yes. We were running on schedule till the 6th of December. We're running now 3 weeks behind because of the timber. The timber is ready, but the installation team before Christmas was not available with the timber contractor. Well, we are hopeful that we will be covering up that time in January because they've sorted us out to complete the works by the 31st of Jan. So we are still on course for an 8-month completion. We've done all our groundworks, all drains done, all services in, BTs in. So we're basically not working at site now because even the front road, the concrete has been laid and the back gardens have been graded. So the garage groundworks are done. We're pretty much there. We are 32% completed and we're looking at timber completion by end of January. And then weatherproofing all buildings by end of February. By end of April, we are hoping to finish all works, yes.
Excellent. Okay. I've got a short video here which will play, which was Ray on site a few weeks ago. This should play okay through the speakers. Might be slightly loud. People need to turn their sound slightly down. But let's just play this video and it'll give people an idea of the work a few weeks ago.
Date 29 of. So what's happened here is just getting the drainage in. This is
yes, this
rainwater drainage. The foul water is already in, as you can see. Plots 1, 2, 3, 4, all concreted with services now in. Plot 5 and the garage have been concreted, ready for brickwork. The tank has all been in and covered. The connection has been put in as well. The front flank.
So yes, that's where we're there. So I know, John, you're sort of familiar with this. You've worked with Hitesh on a few projects. It's interesting, sort of from a few months ago, where this was just a concept, and we did a raise, put it out there. This actually funded in a day, which was very pleasing. And I just wanted, John, have you any observations or comments on this project? You're still on mute currently.
So as a project, it's moved along reasonably well in this COVID period, in the sense that, you know, groundwork's done, foundations laid, and I think it'll be very interesting to see in the next few weeks. The timber is being assembled and sort of made to measure off-site, and then it'll be assembled on-site. So they'll go from what you see now to essentially full structural work done and structure in place in a matter of days once the timber starts arriving. So that'll be an interesting project to follow along.
Yeah, it was interesting, Hitesh, that we did one of our project webinars. Ray, who's there in the black hat, was actually on the site, if you remember, and did a walk around what was a field.
Yeah.
And there was some water there, and we were discussing the water and the different aspects of the site. And then just literally 3 months later, you've got this amount of work already completed. So I'm sure you're pleased that at least you're relatively on course. And any lessons that you've sort of discovered? I know you're quite experienced in what you do in your own sort of warehousing and sort of larger commercial premises. You maybe haven't done so many of these residential in the UK. So just any sort of lessons learned for investors?
A lot of them, macro levels both. But at a macro level, in terms of residential development, as everybody knows, the people who've known our project and have followed it through, it's my first development. And being a director on the company, being a shareholder on the company, it was a learning curve in getting our senior debt in place as well. So we were hoping to get our senior debt in place in September, but we got our first drawdown done on the 27th of November. It was shared with Brenda, so we shared the details the other day. So yes, we've been able to come out of that now. Now we are where we are. We have the senior debt in place. We have a credit history to show for. Ray obviously was very helpful in all of that because he already had a credit history. But just as a learning curve for a new developer, and during COVID times where solicitors took their own time, all of this was very new to us. So we had to pump in a little more than what we anticipated, but we did not let the project suffer. And that was the basic criteria. No slippages on that front. And the contractor supported us a lot. So yes, the learning curve is still on, and on site, you always get to learn on a daily basis. Being a smaller site compared to a warehouse, there are the nitty-gritties in terms of coordination because we're doing a modern method of construction with timber frame, which is fully built out in a factory, and it just has to be erected on site. So there's a lot of coordination that happens. So I'd love to have, I'd love to invite people on the site probably in the first or second week of February. So we'll work on that, David, with you, with our investors. We promised that we'd have a site visit whenever they're available. We'll have 2 weekends so that they can come and see what a timber frame looks like and how sturdy it is. All the questions will be answered, all the doubts will be cleared on that front.
Excellent. Yeah, that'll be really beneficial if we're able to do that. And again, thank you for your updates. They've been very professional, very thorough with videos and lots of pictures taken at the same location. Yeah. I've had really good feedback. A number of investors who are very happy with the level of sort of investor update, which is obviously very, very important, for investors. So, okay, listen, that's great. Any last minute comments about the project? Are you looking at other projects for 2021, I'm sure, and sort of aggressively getting out there and building?
Absolutely, yes. We're looking at a couple of projects for 2021, and hopefully we will be discussing with our potential investors very, very soon.
Excellent. Okay.
Yes.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Hitesh, for that. I really appreciate that. Say hi to Ray, and obviously have a good festive season and break, and we'll speak again soon.
Thank you so much, David.
Good job. So
bye, guys. Bye.
Thanks, Hitesh. Okay, and moving on next then, the next one we funded was in a West Buildings project which was from the guys down at Target 5. We had both Tina and Andy on as guests, given their unique experiences in the world of property and even pre-property. So delighted Andy from Target 5 joined us this morning. Hi, Andy.
Hello, thank you for having me on.
Yeah, no problem at all. I don't know if it's a case of the good wine to the last. You've had to wait patiently there, but we did. We sort of ran chronologically, so yours is next in line.
It's fine. I've already forgiven you, David. It's fine.
Good. I think for those who aren't aware, just maybe to highlight again, although I'm sure you're maybe tired of people always highlighting this, but it's, I think, very relevant to the world of property investment. In your previous life, you were a British Army bomb disposal officer, so you do know something about the world of risk and risk mitigation, and you do bring that to property as very much how you analyze deals. So just to talk us through this deal quickly in terms of you found it. Obviously, we've done the raise for you, 142,538, and then the next slide has some up-to-date pictures and a wee video.
Yep. Yeah. So I mean, this project for us, it was really important for us to choose something that was well within our comfort zone in terms of ensuring a successful raise, and that's how it's proved so far. Insofar as it's been, we were confident from the outset, and I'll go through the updates of it, but it's certainly gone well so far. We're all set for completion in early to mid-February. We're on target from a budget perspective. We built in contingency, which is a good principle of risk management. We've had some extras, but with they've sat within our contingency budget, and it's been a really good project so far. We've been able to, as you can see from the pictures there, we've been able to take advantage. It's a Victorian property. There are challenges that come with that, but we've seen, we've done a lot of development, so we've seen these type of things. And when they were uncovered, whilst we've come across stuff, there's additional work around chimney stacks, and we've been able to deal with them. And actually, what we've been able to uncover is some fantastic brick and flint work that we're then able to build into our overall scheme, just to make it as as attractive as possible.
Yeah, that was interesting. You mentioned that wall, and I think you're going to turn it into a bit of a feature. Is that in one room or two rooms? I think on the right hand side there.
So we're going to have, you can see there in one of they've got a chimney stack there. So we're going to have exposed brick pretty much throughout. We've got a couple of flint walls, but then we've got exposed brick fireplaces, I think in three rooms. So it's it's going to be feature rich throughout, and we're really going to sort of accentuate that.
Yeah. So in terms of lessons for investors, I mean, this is very much bread and butter for you. This is what you and Tina do. It's just another day at the office. In terms of maybe the expertise you're bringing, what is it that you maybe see in these buildings, or why did you choose this one? Perhaps other developers didn't go for this one, or was it got off market? So what's the value that you're bringing to this?
Well, certainly, I mean, we don't. It's important to us. We put ourselves in a position where we are. So this was pre-market, and we're in a position where we're the first people in. So we make the decision, and if another developer sees it, it's because we've decided not to do it. But the key thing for this was the size and location. So location, as you know, is absolutely critical for us in terms of where it sits. This is right in the centre of Worthing, 200 or 100 metres, 150 metres from the sea, 50 metres from the pedestrianised area, but then also the size and versatility. So you'll note from this that we've actually, I think that today's word is pivoted insofar as we are now, and I think Tina's provided on the previous update, that we are now doing it as one commercial property and a six bed all ensuite HMO rather than two flats. Reason for that is it actually sort of it's worked better from a ease of project, ease of building control, and also then has further maximised the rental return that we're now able to project, which is obviously beneficial to our investors. So yeah, I think a critical thing is being able to then look at it, and as we say in the arm, as you know, no plan survives contact with the enemy, and being able to actually go and have a look at it and say, well, that's fine, we've got a plan, but if we've got a better plan, then go with that better plan. But it's the size of the property makes versatility possible. The other thing is of course building in contingency. As you know, when we go and do stuff, we've got our own really experienced project managers. I'm super experienced, Tina's super experienced, but we also have QS support. We get all of the surveys done in good time, so we sort of know what's going to happen. But at the same time, we build in contingency to our budgets, so there aren't any nasty surprises. We're somewhere along the project now. I think we sort of, famous last words, touch wood, but I think we've sort of uncovered the nasties now, and we've been able to deal with them within the budget because we built in contingency.
Excellent. Let me just bring John in there, because I know you've worked with John in the past, and he helped structure this slightly unusual way we structured the investment, because this is over a 5-year period. You're allowing investors to sort of not just have a quick profit out of flipping a property, but you've allowed them to share in the rental for the next 5 years with you. I know John helped sort of structure that. So, John, any observations or comments on this project?
Well, it was innovative in the sense it was the first buy and hold property investment on the platform. And this is definitely a buy, add value, or buy smart, add value, reconfiguration and all of that, and then hold for income. And the investment proposition to the audience, to the people like myself that did invest in it, is to actually have a single let or a HMO property in your portfolio where you're a part owner and you're holding for income, which is sort of the most vanilla or bread and butter type transaction there is when it comes to being a property investor.
Very good, very good. So time-wise then, Andy, you're happy that you're meeting the projected timeline so far?
Yeah, no, exactly that. So as I say, we anticipate being finished in the early to mid-February month. Obviously, February is a relatively short month. The guys, our partner agency, my letting agent, Sussex Property Partnership, is already ready to launch as a pre-launch in January. As you know, we are all about, the moment we could start work, we started work. And the moment we can get these let, we can. Now, the only decision that will be made, which is another lesson around pivoting, as we all know, there's a consultation going out at the moment around, we're aware of Class M, which is permitted development right to convert commercial units into residential. Now, and as we know, as we previously communicated, as we do with everything, we preempted this by leaving the size of the commercial so that it would fit within the space standards should this happen, and we got the opportunity to turn it into a one-bedroom flat. Now, it's anticipated that come June or July next year that we'll be able to do that, even though this area it's identified, as we know by Worthing, as being a sort of strategic part of the shopping centre. It's secondary frontage rather than primary frontage, and therefore we await the direction. But that's one potential change, and we would only do that if it's beneficial to our investors, and that's where we can get increase the value and the income through conversion of the retail unit into a further residential unit.
Okay, absolutely fantastic. Any last comments before we move on?
No, I mean, it's we anticipated this was going to be a successful project, and it will be. We've agreed quite a few properties over the last few days. As it happens, we've got a really had a really good year. We're going to have a record year next year, and we're really excited about working with LEOcrowdfunding on one or two more projects as soon as possible.
Yeah, no, obviously that's great. And I suppose as John mentioned with Darren Gibson, again, you've kind of reached out to a new audience. People have supported you and backed you from our crowd, and now you've literally sort of increased your own sort of reach among investors.
We're really grateful for that.
Yeah, no, brilliant, fantastic. Listen, Andy, thank you much for joining us today. I really appreciate that. I know it's a busy day for you, so Really, really appreciate, and I'm sure the investors who invested in your project who are on the webinar today are delighted to hear from you and hear it's going so well.
We're constantly posting, obviously we do the updates as well, but we're constantly posting updates as well on our Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook feeds as well. Okay, so there's trying to put as many videos as we can up. So that's that. Have a wonderful Christmas and New Year, everyone.
Yes, thanks very much, Andy. Appreciate that.
There was a comment in the Q&A that people are enjoying the updates, and I think that applies to more than just this one project that we just talked about, and that it's what's one of the nice things about being a passive investor is I can sit here wherever I am and see the progress and see the videos, see the still images, and get a sense of how things are going besides the newsletter that comes out from the platform.
Yeah, I mean, each project gets a nice sort of 2-page formatted every month update. I think actually the West Buildings is actually due out this week. Actually, will be their first main one. So I know they've sent a video in and loads of good photographs. So investors have definitely, as you say, John, have given us good feedback on that. Okay, just last few minutes then. Another project that we did that really was very unique, because this was a behind the curtain raise, as we call it, or a private raise. And this literally went out to a private group of dentists originally. We did bring it on the platform just to allow some people on our crowd, and we did have some investment from our sort of registered investors, but primarily it was a private raise, and 252k was raised, 25% return per annum, and it was a tourism and leisure facility down in Monmouthshire in Wales. A very interesting project. Part of it revolves around some sort of high-end pods, cottage-type units, but there's a golf course and outdoor leisure pursuits, and really a very interesting project. Yeah, we were delighted to be able to help with this. And that behind the curtain, John, so before we sort of wrap up the webinar, the concept of behind the curtain, where because of compliance, because of regulation, fundraisers and developers who have their investors in place but are conscious of the regulation. Do you want to just sort of mention that briefly before we move on?
Well, in any collective scheme where you have multiple passive investors, you need authorization, and most people as developers don't have any authorizations. So the platform is able to provide a way for someone that's raising money to bring a whole group of investors that they might already know, and for their own business reasons, they may not want to have it visible as a raise to the whole world, so they want to do it behind the curtain, so to speak. And it goes through the same compliance process, the same vetting as any other deal, so it can be released, but it's the property sponsor's responsibility for identifying the investors and bringing them to the platform to fund the deal. And that's what this particular project is. And it's generally a good way for someone who's got a number of investors they want to work with, but they want to keep it legal with the FCA rules.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think it's something we're going to do a lot more of this next year. We're currently onboarding one at the minute, which is very similar. Straight development. The fundraiser has the investors in place as far as they're concerned, and they just want to be able to have the flow of funds and the investor relations to be done in a compliant way, and therefore they've come to us. So we're certainly looking forward to that. It's a very interesting way of solving a problem. So before we wrap up the webinar, let me highlight once again our current project that will be going live possibly in a day or two. It's currently View Deal from Oak Gardens. This is from Tatiana, and we've done a project webinar with Tatiana. She was a guest on our weekly webinar a few weeks ago. Really interesting and exciting bespoke project in Shenfield. I know, Asher, you've actually been on site on this as part of our due diligence. I know our investment analyst, Avina, was there, and you were there regarding just the social media preparation. Do you want to just quickly in 30 seconds give us what you thought of this project when you actually walked the ground?
Sure, I absolutely loved it. I mean, as you can see from the CGI, it looks like a really amazing project. I mean, the spot itself was incredible, just in terms of location and accessibility. Also, especially with the fact that it's in, you know, such a nice environment, which is, you know, hugely important at a time like now when everyone's staying at home. But even more importantly, just meeting Tatiana in person and getting a strong idea of, you know, her ideas and her aspirations for the project. I was just really impressed all around. I think it'll be really incredible to see how it comes along. I'm excited to, you know, launch it.
Yeah, and again, you've done some really good work on sort of social media and working with Tatiana in preparing, you know, these sort of CGIs and getting the information out. So this is an existing dwelling that's going to be knocked down and built into this. Planning's in place. Tatiana's looking to raise an equity of 160,000 to complete the capital stack. She's offering a 21% ROI, and that is a project that is currently on our platform. You can look at it, you can record your interest, which lets Tatiana and us know if this is a project that you're interested in investing in. I'd certainly encourage you to go and have a look at the equity offer doc, look at the pitch pages, and decide if this is something that would suit your portfolio. So, John, that kind of brings us to the end of today, this last webinar of the year. Again, an incredible journey, you know, £705,238 of investor money. And let me thank every single investor, those who are on the webinar today, which I know many of you are, and those who might watch the recording. But we do appreciate it. We don't take anything for granted. We hope we provide a good service to investors. We want to create a relationship with you and nurture you so that as you invest in property, you'll see the benefits of doing that through a property crowdfunding platform and specifically through Leo crowdfunding. So John, interesting journey, last minute thoughts on what has been a very, very interesting year?
I think people have learned that they have to be prepared for a lot of different things. And as we've heard from the projects, that even in trying times, people can still make good progress. You just have to be nimble. As Andy said, the plans change when you start sometimes, and that's just the way it is. And the same with people's investment portfolios. And by having a diversified portfolio across a number of investments, across a number of different projects, you can help isolate and reduce the risk factors.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, for us as a platform, it's been a learning experience this year, having to pivot and deal with COVID and everything goes with that. Projects that we're about to launch, obviously, then decided not to go ahead, understandably, because of COVID. So yeah, we have had to learn and grow and develop. Thank you for all your help and input, John, over the year. You obviously bring a lot of experience to the table, and it's great to be able to lean on that and get your input.
Yeah, we had a question or two. So Richard, you came late. Asha is a member of the Leo crowdfunding team. He's the social media lead person. And then I want to reference that a number of people did reply to how many investments they've made over the 5 that were on the platform this year. And there's been a number of people that are in the 2 range. So people are picking and choosing what they'd like to invest in, which I think is a great sign.
Yeah, very, very much so, very much so. Okay, so I think that takes us to the end of today. And again, thank you for everyone who's joined us on Facebook Live. So from next year, we'll be Facebook Living and on YouTube. I say there's going to be some really exciting changes to the format as to how we can really make this interactive and beneficial. And we want to really grow this in terms of attendees. Also, we've got so many exciting projects that we're preparing at the minute. And really, obviously, right now, second week of December isn't the time to launch, but you'll see in January and February, multiple projects, planning opportunities, vanilla deals, there'll obviously be some behind the curtain deals. So we're really, really excited by the flow of projects that we have coming on. And I think, John, just lastly, a very, very important point is that you've heard from Beaumont, we heard from Target 5, from Curation Tech today. And all of them have indicated that they want to do another deal. So it's like the track record starts to get built, and if you've got fundraisers who keep just bringing multiple deals, then they build their own tribe on the platform, which is really, I think, the magic of property crowdfunding. So I'll give you the last word on why that works in the industry. You're on mute.
Sorry, know, like, trust. You're building relationships, you're getting to know each other, and it becomes easier to have a second raise, have a third raise. People know the process. So it's very much, you're in it for the long game. As I said a number of times to people, never use crowdfunding if you're only going to do one deal. It isn't worth the effort. But if you're going to build a business and you're going to have a series of deals over a number of years, this is the way to go, because you can really diversify your investor base and build relationships.
Yeah. Okay, so at that, we will end today. Slightly longer than normal, but thought it was worth doing that. So can I just thank everyone for joining, and I wish everyone a very happy Christmas, seasonal greetings, and wish you a very, very successful 2021. So thanks so much for joining. All the best, guys. Stay safe, and talk to you in the new year.